Today we're going to talk towards the end about the three kidnappers of our teens. That's why you came, right? You want to know about those three kidnappers. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the process and the journey that you guys are going through, and to be able to normalize that a little bit for you. But as we get started out, think about, you ever worked at a job that was just frustrating and you felt like striking? You know, or get your fellow employees together. And you've seen people do that, right? And they usually want what when they go on strike?
More money.
More money. What else?
More
rights, more freedom, more independence. Okay. Can you imagine parents going on strike with their job as parents? Have you ever thought about it yourself, wanting to get a picket thing? Yeah? Okay. Well, you know what? Check it out. Some parents actually did that. Okay, this was in the register. Parents go on strike. Can anybody read what's on the picket thing? What do they want more of? Can anybody see that?
Cooperation and respect.
Cooperation and respect. Anybody want more of that? Anybody could use a little extra dose of cooperation and respect? Those are two very important words that we're going to look at in terms of how to help you get more cooperation, how to get more respect from your kids. And you're going to find out some things that you do that actually inhibits that. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine doing stuff with your kids that will diminish the respect and the cooperation? Now, certainly you're not doing it on purpose. And it's a lot like a little child who learns to tie her shoe and then untie the shoe, and then they go to untie it one day, and it doesn't untie. And so they go, well, what's going on here? And so what do? They pull a little harder, and a little harder, and before you know it, they have a what? A knot. First knot ever. Don't know what a knot is. And that's where the parent comes in and says, oh, honey, this is something new. This is called a knot. And with a knot, you don't pull the string, you push the string. It's like, wow, push the string. What a concept. And they were making it worse with their best effort. But certainly they weren't trying to do that. And I know you guys have had that experience from time to time. Going, I'm trying really hard, but why does it seem like it's getting worse? And so we're going to learn some new ways to push the string as opposed to pull the string to improve the respect and cooperation from our kids. Okay, you guys up for that? Now, they're sitting out here on the front, grass with their picket sign, and the news gets a hold of this. And so they find this kid as he comes home from school. And look at the look on his face. He's got the cameras on him, and he's going like, what is going on? At my house, my parents have lost it completely. And I'm sure they had a great time doing that. So they're using creativity and humor to the full extent here. All right. Raising teenagers, somebody said, transitioning from what worked when they were little isn't working out when they're older, and oftentimes it feels like a roller coaster, doesn't it, with your kid? Now take a look at that. That's what you're about to embark on in parenting a teenager. You're going to go down and around, and who likes roller coaster rides? Raise your hand. I love them. They're great. Who doesn't like them? Raise your hand. Okay. Almost half, okay? Now, the problem with roller coaster rides, they're only fun if you know how to ride them, okay? And there's a couple things. One major thing that helps immensely in riding a roller coaster and making it enjoyable, and that is being able to anticipate the turns. If you can't anticipate the turn, what happens to you? You get sick, and you get knocked around, you get banged around. It's not fun. But if you understand that you can lean into a curve, and suddenly that curve isn't so treacherous, it becomes fun and exciting to look forward to that. But if you don't know that, and along the way, another thing that kind of helps is put a couple pillows inside there to make it a little bit more comfortable for you. So we're going to try to do that. We're going to try to help you anticipate some of the turns that are coming up with parenting teens, and I'm going to also make a distinction with late adolescents as well. Okay, so you got early teens and late adolescents, and there's another shift that happens there. You'll see how that plays out as we go along. But so we want to help you learn how to ride the teenage roller coaster by anticipating turns that are coming up and doing some things that will make it a lot more comfortable for you and for your teen. All right. Well, Mark Twain had some very interesting thoughts about parenting. He says, when they're young, it's best to put them in a large pickle barrel, nail the top, and feed them through that little knot hole. But he had something more alarming to say when these kids turn teenagers. When they become teenagers, just close up the knot. Anybody else felt like that? That's enough of you. We're done with this. Aww. You know, they say insanity runs in families, right? You've heard that. You get it from your kids. All right, you know what? It is maddening to parent teenagers because they're so different and there's all this change going on. And it's just like maddening to the little girl who's trying to untie the shoe and thinking like, this used to work and it's not working anymore. What the heck is going on? Well, have you ever felt half out of your mind parenting? Well, you know, there's another set of parents that went crazy with their kid. And Doug talked about that a little bit in his lecture. In Luke 2, in several verses there, Jesus was found hanging out with the elders. What did his parents think about that? But his parents were not impressed. They were upset and hurt, his mother said. So, has your kid tried to impress you and you weren't impressed? Like, no, that's not funny, that's not smart, that's not, appropriate. I'm not impressed. Well, Jesus' parents had the same experience. They also said, young man, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been half out of our minds looking for you. And a lot of times we'll read that and go over that and really miss the intensity of the emotions of these parents. They're distressed. They were tormented. And as Doug alluded, they lost God. How would you feel, right? Where did God go? What did you do with God? And so it's scary, it's frightening, it's maddening. And so the big dilemma that we face at this time is this. Do you let go or do you hold on? Right? You've been struggling with that. You've been wondering about it. What do we do? How quick do we let go? What do we let go of? What do we hold on to? And this is what I want to talk about tonight. This is going to help us learn and understand what you let go of and what you hold on to. What you hold on to are the three kidnappers. We want to hold on to things that would kidnap our teens, and that'll be the second part. I want to talk first about what you let go of. Okay? And then, so the bottom line is you have to do both. You got to let go and you got to hold on. And so we're going to talk about what you let go of and what you hold on to. So let's talk about the first one. What do we let go of? And get some understanding about why we need to let go. Now I want to present to you a very unusual parenting scripture. It's this. For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Now when do you normally hear that verse? During a wedding, right? That's appropriate because there's a leaving and cleaving. But when does the leaving start? Younger? Yeah. At birth. You know the umbilical cord? Remember that leaving? That was the first leaving. And the leaving just starts then. And there's been many leavings. There's the leavings of going to school for the first time. If you're not homeschooling. And there they go. They're going to stay all day at school. Oh my gosh, there's another leaving. And so leaving has been happening all along. So that way there can be successful cleaving at a wedding day. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen at the wedding. It doesn't happen when they turn 18. It's been happening since they were born. If you notice that. If you think about that. Leaving and cleaving is not just a verse for marriage, but for the parent-child relationship. And it's been happening all along, and you may not even notice it. And you start to notice it now because they're really starting to exercise their autonomy, their freedom. And they're also sensing that the day is coming when they're going to be out on the world on their own, and they better learn how to do this. They better learn how to get this figured out. So let me have some thoughts about letting go, some conceptual thoughts to help you kind of prepare you for this, and to help you better understand why it's so important. The first concept is a little bit controversial, and it's this. Families are terminal. What does terminal mean? Comes to an end, right? Families come to an end. Let me ask you, tell me about your family.
We're together now.
Okay. Kids?
Three of us.
Okay. So let me ask it again. Tell me about your family.
In what sense?
So he's going, what are you talking about? You didn't tell me about your mom and your dad and your siblings. And what about that? What happened to that family?
But I was thinking about my current.
Exactly. Exactly. So families come to an end. And if all things go right, you'll be in two families. One that you were born in, the other one that you created. And both will come to an end, just like yours did. Okay? Families come to an end. And I want to illustrate this with the circle of life. I call it the circle of life, and I've asked a few people to help me out with this. So once you come up, those of you I've asked to come up here. So here's what we're going to do. Once you come over here, I want you to form a circle and hold hands facing each other. All right. This is a family. Okay? And I'm going to take you through the journey of this family. And here's the phases we're going to go through. So we're going to go through first phase 1. This is Dad. This is Mom. This is, what do we got here? Our 10-year-old, our 8-year-old, and our 6-year-old.
Right on.
Okay? So this is our family. So I want you to think that you're this age. And so what we're going to do is Dad's going to say, hey, you guys want to go camping? How are you going to respond to that? Yeah, right? You're in. Let's go camping. Awesome. Let's do this. And it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be fun, and you're going to go camping, right? You guys all do. Now we're going to go to phase 2. 13, 11, and 9. You guys want to go camping? Can I bring my iPod? Can I bring my friend? But pretty much we're still all going camping, right? Okay, now what I want to do is we're going to go to 16. And actually, let's take 13 for a second. At 13, this 13-year-old is going to start, she's looking into she's got her hands held and she's looking to the family, but every now and then she's looking over her shoulder. Because there's a world out there. And she's starting to notice that there's a world out there. And so she's getting very interested in that world. But she's still pretty much focused. She's going to go camping. So now we're going to go to the next phase, 16, 14, and 12. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to turn around, just you, and hold hands. Ooh, what does that look like? Now she's looking over her shoulder. She's looking out there because there's a world out there. And he says, hey, let's go camping. Dad says, let's go camping. You want to go camping? Not sure. Do I have to? Really? If I have to, I gotta bring a friend. And if I can't bring a friend, I don't want to do this. And she's thinking like, oh, okay, maybe one more time, but I'm getting tired of this. And you're still in. And you guys are going like, dang, this used to be fun. Why is this such a hard, it's like pulling teeth now. Okay, now we're going to go to the next thing. And what we want you to do is let go of one hand. And kind of take a step out. I mean, as much as you can. There you go. Okay, and hold hand. Keep holding hands. So now look what's happening. Now I want you to turn around. Hold hands. What is going on in this family? You guys feel this? You see this? And you know what you see here? It's normal. It's right. It's good. It just doesn't feel that way. It feels awful. How do you guys feel? What are you feeling as parents? What the heck's going on here? You worked hard to make this thing happen. And here we are. It's starting to unravel. All right, thank you very much for helping me illustrate that. Thank you. Give me a hand. Thank you. So did you see that? I mean, how that works? And it's all right and good and the way it's supposed to be. Thank you. But it doesn't feel good. So let me take you through my journey in my family real quick. So here we go. The Robbins family. 8 years. Jordan was 8, our firstborn, when our lastborn was born, Austin. So it took us 8 years to get everybody on board. Okay? Then Jordan was 16. What's he doing at 16? He's getting ready to leave. Now, he's not gone, but he's getting ready. And then, when he's 26, Austin's 18. So here's this journey of our family, okay? And basically, that's a 26-year journey. But watch what happens. And the first 8 years is the building years. If we go to Disneyland at this time, not everybody went to Disneyland, right? Austin wasn't born yet. So we have family pictures. Hey, where was I? That's not fair. What are you guys going to Disneyland without me? Well, you weren't born yet. Well, that's not right. So we're all kind of getting everybody on board. And then we have what I call the true family. We're all here, we're all doing it, and we're all having a great time. We all are happy we're in this family. And this is where we want to be. And then we have the unraveling. And you saw the unraveling happening here. Where at 16, it just everybody starts peeling off little by little. Sometimes they come back, it gets a little interesting and entertaining sometimes, but pretty much we're kind of just moving in that direction. Okay? So our window of opportunity for family is 8 years, is in this pocket right here now. The bigger the family, the smaller the window. Right? I mean, if you just have one child, well, you're all on board right away, and you got 16 years before they start unraveling. So you got a 16-year window. So if you have 6 kids, it gets even smaller. And I've had people come from 12 and 15. I mean, it's like they were raised by their siblings. You see what I'm saying? So we got this whole thing going on, and it's right and good. So what happens after the family starts to unravel? What happens to you, mom and dad? You become extended family. Your parents are extended family, right? Now. And your allegiance is to your family that you just told me about, which is your wife and your kids and all that stuff. And that's where your allegiance is. But guess what? Your kids' allegiance is going to change as well. You will become extended family. Okay? So last Sunday, I was invited down to hang out with my oldest son. And this, you want to know what extended family looks like? Let me show you what you're in for. Are you ready for this? That's Henry. And that's Audrey. My grandkids. But I'm extended family. That's his family now. And he's in the process of starting his family. And then, in a few years, he'll go through the same thing. But my role now is extended family. His allegiance is to his family. So the point of this is that families are terminal. And where this goes south is when you don't understand that or agree with it, and so you want to hold on and not let this process happen. Because it's supposed to. And some of you feel this because your parents haven't let go of you. Some of you don't want to go home for Christmas because, oh my gosh, we got to go through that. Because they haven't let go. Or sometimes they make you feel like you have to choose between your mother and your wife. I've done some counseling in that department. That's a lot of fun. And you shouldn't have to have that fight. Okay? So, families are terminal. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a right thing. It's a necessary thing. It's an important thing. And if you go with it, it's not such a difficult thing. If you fight it, it becomes really messy. Okay? So keep that concept in mind. Families are terminal. Another concept. Change is normal. A lot of times when things change, we think, what went wrong? What's going on? What did I do wrong? What's wrong with you? I mean, this is how we try to identify when change starts to happen. There's something that matters, something's wrong, but there's nothing wrong. The only thing that's being called for is adaptation, to adapt to the change. Will you adapt? It's hard to adapt when you label it as wrong, because then you want to fix the wrong thing and not go with it. Okay? There's James Dobson has used this illustration, and I think it's a very helpful one. And if you guys remember Apollo 13, and it's an amazing movie that they made about that, and it's about coming back into the atmosphere, coming back for their landing. And usually that process takes about 3 minutes, 3 minutes or so, where they're burning through the atmosphere. You got to come at the right angle so you don't burn up and blow up and all that kind of stuff. But while you go through that process, you lose all contact with ground control. So it's silent. And they're all watching the clock. And in Apollo 13, in the movie, they did a great job of making that very suspenseful, because now we're in the 4th minute going into the 5th minute. And we're going, oh my gosh, that must mean they blew up. They burned up. And then when they finally had, they made contact with ground control, everybody just went crazy, just with relief. Because there was such a tension about not being in contact. Adolescence is a little bit like that. Because you know your kid, they talk to you, and everything is good, and suddenly they're like gone. Where did they go? I don't have that connection anymore. Now some of you go like, what are you talking about? It's great. And that's a blessing. And others are going, yeah, I get it. I don't know what is going on. And again, this is all normal. And you just have to have incredible patience to get through that because there's not much you can do. There are some things that you can do to help make that process a little bit easier. We're going to talk about what you can do very specifically. But it's that kind of experience that you go through where you kind of lose touch. Okay? Does that make sense? Do you feel some of that? Feeling that you're starting to lose that connection, that communication? They're not talking to you as much? It can happen. All right. Now I want to show another concept. And what you've been trying to do all these years, and this is another important process that your kids are going to go through, and that you need to just kind of hang with and just be patient and let this thing roll out. Again, there's a lot of specific things you'll be able to do to help make this a healthy and successful process, but this is the process. So basically, I want you to just imagine your child's heart. And for the last 16 years, 12, 16 years, you've been writing on their heart important things that you want to imprint on their heart, that matter, okay, that they need for a successful life, a life honoring God. What would be some of those things that you'd want to imprint on your kid's heart? You're loved, honesty, trust, respect, kindness, faith, integrity. What about some don'ts? Don't drink and drive. What else? Don't lie to me. What else? No sex, right? Good grades. I mean, imagine you were writing all this stuff on their heart. And it's taken years to imprint this and you've been careful. Some of you really got into it, even homeschool like we did, to really make sure this gets imprinted and doesn't get influenced by outsiders and all that kind of. We work hard to put all these things on our kid's heart. And then something happens when you hit the adolescent years. Watch what happens. What? Wait, whoa. What's going on? And here's what you see back. God, really? Well, that's just your thing. You're pushing it on me. Obey the laws? No, not everybody else obeys the laws. Why should I? Sex? Really? Come on. Seriously? Who needs grades? People graduating college, they're not getting jobs. I mean, what does it matter? Family? Oh man, I'm tired of my family. It's starting to unravel. Remember that? Why not cheat? How are you going to compete? Everybody else is cheating. You you spent all these years putting this stuff up, and now they're starting to question everything. Aren't they? What you start seeing happen. If you haven't seen it, it's coming. Drugs? Why not lie? Alcohol? Oh man, everybody's drinking. Come on, that's a no-brainer. So, how's that feel? Not so good, huh? Yeah, slap in the face. Scary, frightened, dismayed. It's like, wow, this is a lot of work to have this disappear. And let me explain to you and show you why it's necessary. Because they process. Watch. Now, everything that I put up there is back again. What's the difference? Yes, exactly. Why is that important? Why is it important that it's in their handwriting?
The experience, the process, the things you taught them.
Okay, the experience, they process the things they taught them. Somebody else?
It's coming from them instead of told them.
Yeah, it's coming from them. Morality and rules for living have to be in the teen's own handwriting. They have to own it. If they don't own it, they're at college, somebody hands them a joint and he says, oh, no. My mom would really be upset if I did that. No. You think that's going to fly? That's not going to fly. Are you serious? This is not going to happen. What do they need to say?
I'm good, thanks.
Hey, that's not me. I'm not into that. That's when they own it. That's when they have the strength, the courage to start saying, not for me. I'm going to wait until I get married. I'm not into that. And they can say it with conviction because they owned it. But the journey from you writing it on your heart to them owning it is a painful journey. It's an arduous journey. Because there's that ground, that's that Apollo 13 where you're going, oh, they're questioning everything. Are they going to come back around? I mean, you saw my 2 grandkids. There's a journey there that we don't have time to get into. That was not an easy journey. And they finally broke through. Longer than we wanted. But we've made connection again. And it happens. It doesn't happen with every child in every family, but it happens. And how you manage it when it happens determines if you will ever make connection again. I've seen people just get so intense, so rigid, so authoritarian, remember that word? Where the bridges are just blown up and there is no way back. Through this normal, routine, frequent journey that most kids go through and most parents have to endure. Now, understanding this just helps you go, okay, still don't like it, but at least I get it a little bit, and I can, not feel so panicked about it or freaked out about it, because there is an end to this. This too shall pass. Okay, and it is difficult, and so therefore, some thoughts of letting go, support is needed. You can't do this on your own. You need to talk about your feelings regarding these upcoming changes with each other, with your spouse. Let's support people in your life. You don't want to do this alone. Trust me, it's just too difficult. And if you don't, it's pent up and it'll come out on your kid and it just makes things worse. Another thing is you want to talk about your roles. Who's going to do what? If you're still parenting together, okay, who does what oftentimes change. So you need to get that figured out. There's many times where my wife would just get sucked into my son's, provocations, and she'd start to chase him, and I had to go, no, come back, don't go after him. And sometimes you have to do that for me. Because they're very good at provoking, aren't they? Did you say that they know how to push your buttons? Yeah, they've learned a little thing about you over the years as well. And they know how to push your buttons. And so you want to talk about who's going to step in and who's going to back out and a little tag team wrestling kind of thing. You want to talk with other parents. Our teens are colluding against us with their peers. They're teaching each other how to get over us, how to get around us, how to get, they're using each other as resources. And often we parents are isolated by ourselves talking to nobody. And we're outnumbered. And you guys are breaking that by being here, which is awesome. Now, the challenge is this is going to end. Then what? You want to have some connection with other parents where you can talk about this stuff. Because there's a lot of wisdom in this room that you need to tap into. And I'm not talking about the speaker. I'm talking about you guys out there. You've learned some things. And you've learned things that I need to know that I haven't learned. I've learned some things that you need to know that you haven't learned. Perfect. Let's get together. Let's talk about this stuff. And then, this may sound self-serving. I'm a psychologist, but, a lot of people wait way too late to get counseling. And then it is a nightmare to try to unravel the whole thing. I've had the pleasure, though, of having people come in early. They were just a little concerned, want to just check some things. And it was a fantastic way to start the counseling. It was very short. They got right on track, and it was great, as opposed to having a nightmare to unravel. So there's resources available to you because this journey, this process of your family being terminal. You know what's not terminal? What's not terminal? Your marriage. It's until what? It's the only relationship that you have that will see you to the end of your life. At least that's God's plan. And it's the only relationship on the planet that God says that's one flesh. He doesn't say one flesh with your kids, with your parents, with your sibling, with your boss, with your hobby. There's no other one flesh. It's just the two of you. And when it's all said and done, like for me, it's just me, my wife, and my dog. Just the three of us. Okay? And it's good. It's a good thing. I was just telling my wife, I go, we have one daughter that's married, no kids, but it's coming. I can feel it. Got 2 grandkids. We got 2 that aren't married yet, and they're going to get married. I'm going with it. We're going to have to retire just to be able to see everybody as they invite us over, and we're going to be tired. You know, I don't have time to go to work. That's going to be the work. You know, and that's a good thing. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm just getting a little taste of it. And it's exciting. All right. Now let's transition. We talked about letting go, right? And we're going to talk next week more specifically in some actual things you do in your parenting that will help start that process. But I want to get some conceptual things so you understand why and what that's about. Now let's talk about what you hold on to for dear life. This is important. And I call them 3 kidnappers of our teens.